Hello, my name is Colson. Today I'll be showing my deck profile from an Oklahoma City regional I played at this weekend. I was playing Live Twin Fiendsmith with some of the new Live Twin support, which I'll showcase now. Helped the deck significantly and helped bridge the two decks together between Fiendsmith and Live Twin. So the first card that was printed is called Live Twin Leela Suite. So what she does is she has two relevant effects. Her first one is if she's in your hand and your opponent tries to respond to any of your Live Twin normal summon effects to summon from the deck, you can discard it to negate it. The second effect is if it's in the graveyard at any point and you control a Yugioh monster, you can reborn it from your grave once per turn. So you can keep looping this as long as you can get a Yugioh on board. The second card printed was a Yugioh card, which this requires one Yugioh monster to summon, and when this is summoned, it can send from your deck to grave as cost a Leela monster, so you can send Sweet. And once you do, for the rest of the turn, if your opponent responds to a card or activation of a Live Twin or a Yugioh monster, you get to draw a card on resolution. So this by itself, if they do decide to imperm or Velo this, you still get the dump off, meaning you still have almost guaranteed these two very easily through almost every single combo. Importantly, this is a Light Fiend, which also bridges to Fiendsmith. Showcasing the rest of the deck, you obviously have the one Suite. Some of the starters for Live Twin, you have 3 Yugioh. This is the best one since I mentioned it easily goes into Link 1. Summons out a Leela from the deck. You have 2 Frost, which also go into the Link 1. And these let you draw a card during your opponent's turn if they add something from their deck to their hand. So it's just an additional draw into many of the hand traps you run. The Leela cards, I run 1 treat. This is searchable through a couple different ways. You usually want to summon this off of this from the deck as your starting play. The second effect of this is not really relevant. It helps manipulate some attack, but it never came up. And then 1 regular Leela. So 3 Leelas and 5 Frosts in the main deck, or 3 Leelas and 5 Yugiohs. I would recommend running 1 more Frost if you have it. 3 Sunny Snitch. This is super good, being able to help manipulate some of the life totals as well as search for any of the extenders or starters you need. The last cards I ran for the Live Twin package, I ran 2 Signet Mining and 1 Meow Mine. The Signet Mining is able to search for any of the starters between Yugioh and Leela, but it can also search for Meow Mine, which acts as a level 2 extender. It can be used for an interruption from the hand or the graveyard. So if you end up drawing this from one of your effects during your opponent's turn, what this does is whenever a Link 2 is banished face up from your field or sent to the graveyard, whether it's IP or one of your Live Twin Link 2s, it can banish itself from the hand or grave to target a card your opponent controls and return it to hand. So it's an extra form of interruption. The free summon did come up once. Aside from that, it was just an extra target for Signet Mining in case I already drew a starter. That's it for the Live Twin cards. Like I said, the only ratios I'd change, I'd add another Frost. And honestly, it's up to you if you want to run this card. I just wanted to use the card in the deck. It's very fun. It's all cool artwork. So moving on to the Fiendsmith cards. 3 Engraver. This card was phenomenal today. This is where most people tried to stop the deck, which I feel like is correct because this can cut you off from your some of your extra deck plays. Running 1 Lacrima. This is what you mainly summon off Requiem from the extra deck. This helps dump your trap as well as this. So this was probably one of the best cards of the day. I resolved this card. Out of the 8 games I played, I probably resolved it like 20 times.
Card's good.
Card is crazy. This is probably one of the best grind game cards I've seen in a long time. Like, I would put this card alone with the Link 1 in so many decks. It's crazy. 1 Lurie. It's a good card. It's, searched and dumped off tracked. So I wanted to run 2 tracked since I'm running 3 Engraver, and you want to maximize out on these. The synergy between the 2 decks is super, super high since this is a Light Fiend, and so is the Link 2 and the Link 4 for Live Twin. The last card is Fiendsmith of Paradise, so you can use these 2 together during your opponent's turn to set up an interruption. This was a brick, but I did discard off Signet Mining once, so it kind of worked out. And of course, any of these cards, if left over in your hand, can be discarded for a nice link 4 that we run called Yugioh. So if you do end up drawing an extra card and you don't want to discard a hand trap and you have a Fiendsmith piece to discard, this can help get your engine going or set up for next turn.
Yes, live twin Yugioh.
Right, live twin Yugioh. Quite literally, it literally says the 2 link 2s from live twin let you recycle your link 4. Moving on to the hand traps and some of the generic cards. 1 cross out, 1 talents, and 1 called by. These 2 were super, super good today. I used this as a hand rip, and the dude had 3 different rank up spells in his hand, and I thought it was hilarious. He couldn't even play the game. He didn't have an XYZ monster on the field, but 3 rank ups. This helped me play around some Ash, and I actually never resolved this, but it makes sense why I'm running this once I show you how many hand traps are in the deck. So crossout hypothetically could have been good. I just never drew it in the correct sequence. So 3 draw. I'm running 3 draw because I didn't run any Charmies at the regional. I would if I had them, but this card was MVP against most rogue decks, and even some of the meta decks helped, make their board a little bit weaker. 2 Mourner. This is super good. Definitely over Valor. I would not recommend Valor in this format. This was great about putting extra pressure against your opponent, not only for the taking damage equal to their attack once you negate it. It also helps play around the Mitsurugi ritual, because if they summon it back during your turn, you can still try and attempt to stop it, which can protect your board from a board wipe. 3 Ash. Yes, 3 different rarities and 2 different artworks.
Seems like my deck.
I mean, it works, man. It was good. It didn't matter. They all did the same thing whenever I drew them. So, great card. I don't think this is ever going to come out in any of my decks. 2 Ghost Bell. This is probably the hand trap I would cut. It just didn't come up as much as I hoped it would. It came up against Yugioh once, but aside from that, it was usually used as a discard for Yugioh. The last 2 Nibiru. Most decks can play through, some of the top decks can play through this, but against the rogue decks, it really, really, really hurt them. So it was pretty good for what it did today. It scared enough people.
Is there any cards you would immediately replace with Bell?
With Bell, aside from putting in a couple of the Charmies of choice, I think some of the lists I've seen before, I think running a generic spell between enemy controller, forbidden droplets, or the quick play Monster Reborn, I think all of those are pretty valid to run in the main deck over Bell, because the Monster Reborn can do similar functions to Bell, because Bell was almost used in every scenario to stop a summon back. So if you have the Reborn card, you can always try and manipulate their choice of summon, but it also helps you play through hand traps. There were games where I got Bestialed on my Fiendsmith stuff in Grave, so I probably could have ended up winning another game if I was able to chain the Reborn to stop their Druid Swarm and be able to continue pushing with Fiendsmith. That would have definitely changed the outcome of one of the games. So I'm probably going to put that in here. The quick play is just an insane card. It does turn off the effects of the monster you bring back, but in most cases, if it's a Light Fiend, it can usually get your deck going again.
Fair enough.
Last card is Imperm. Yeah, this card hit Unicorn and he just passed. And I was like, cool. Cashier Unicorn cannot play through a Imperm. Moving on to the extra deck. Showcasing some of the Live Twin stuff first. Like I mentioned, the Link one, you only need 1 of it because Engraver can recycle this constantly. Super fantastic card. As well as whenever you fusion summon into Desiree, you can also choose to recycle it. The other links, I ran 2 Leela. Leela is the one that when she is special summoned while you control a Kisa kill, it lets you target a card in the field and pop it. That came up constantly. It makes breaking boards so much easier and helps the interruptions when you go first. This is the draw one. Whenever Leela brings back Kisa kill, you can draw a card. Both were super, super good. I definitely think you need to run 3 of a combination. Either 2-in-1 or 2-in-1. Have to, because this helped the growing game immensely. Obviously, we're running 1 Trouble Sunny. I don't think you should run this at 2. I think it's a fantastic card. I forgot to use the secondary effect where you can banish and send an Evil Twin. But realizing how easy it is to recycle this card and this card, you can almost always get that effect off, where you can summon out this, dump a card, use the banish from field, send this to the grave. So now you have no cards on field. So if you out a problematic boss monster like Desiree would typically out another card on your field, but since you have no commitments, it doesn't do anything. You basically have a full board. Where you can also interact in ways where if you do send this and send this, you now can use your Charmies or your Imperms to now negate whatever they had left over and try and game from there. That's it for the Live Twin. This was used as an anti-nib, so this is what Meow Mine could also go into. Since it requires 2 level 2 darks, it can detach 2 materials and negate a monster effect, as well as inflicting 500 damage to your opponent. This could help you play around Droll or Nib. It helped play around a bunch of hand traps. It was also just kind of funny to go into. Some of the other generic links. 1 Muckraker. This card significantly helped go back into Trouble Sunny, which can just totally swing the tempo. The protection effect didn't come up, but the discard to Reborn a Fiend, absolutely crazy. We have the almost a Live Twin card. We have Abao Q, Lightless Shadow. She requires 2 monsters, including a Fiend. Most of this deck is Fiends, so it was extremely easy to summon. It acts as interruption during opponent's turn, or can help bring back your Trouble Sunny. So you could actually end up most turns ending on these 2, which was at least 2 interruptions as well as a draw. So pretty solid, especially through multiple hand traps. I also ran SP Little Knight. It was either this or Chaos Angel. This came up much more than Chaos Angel did. This was fantastic every time I summoned it. It did come up with Meow Mine because this, once it uses its effect to tag out, to banish 2 on the field, it would trigger Meow Mine because it's leaving the field by a banishing face-up card effect. That's one thing to keep in mind. I never resolved that because I got Lava Golem while SP was on the field. So Lava Golem just said, no thank you.
Let me guess, was it against a Cashier player?
Yes, it was against Cashier Regenesis. I was like, oh, goodbye, board. Moving on to the Fiendsmith stuff, we run the 1 Necroquip. This can be used for, obviously, whenever you discard Engraver to search, but Silent Mining can come up, and then if you have any sort of hand traps you would like to use during that turn, as well as using the effective suite, as I mentioned at the beginning, helping to push through your opponent's interruptions. If you decide to start with Princess before you do anything, if you know they don't have Nib and they only have cards on the field and you're not afraid of hand traps, you can end up sequencing it where Sweet not only turns into a negate and helps protect your cards, but you can also draw off Necroquip, which seems very solid. I never ran into it in the tourney, but I'm definitely going to try and set that up at some point. 1 sequence. This is made to go into Desiree. Desiree is just a crazy boss monster. 1 Agnum Day, same with Desiree. What typically I ended up doing was, if I was going second, I would go into sequence. I would fuse back some of the Live Twin monsters as well as an Engraver to go into a Desiree. And then I would link these 2 to go into an Agnum Day. Agnum Day would help me swing over a little monster, and then still during the battle phase, bring back Desiree and swing over a large monster. So it would throw some of the opponent off, as well as giving extra negates once you have this fully set up. This card was overall really good. Obviously, the High King Caesar. Use it with Engraver and Necroquip. Super great today. 1 Requiem. Requiem was also fantastic. Being able to loop Requiem and Lacrima back and forth during my opponent's turn.
Oh, yeah.
Just being able, even just the extra body to stop the chip damage came up multiple times because it was a game where I was always going to win that battle, 1 back and forth, because this it can set up an interruption, but Sunny Snitch just puts immense pressure on your opponent doing anything, because if you chip away while they attempt to chip away at you, not only are you getting a swing or 2 in, you're also burning their life, and they can't do anything about it. So if they try to commit to out this loop, then you also deal damage through Sunny Snitch.
Would you say playing the trap was totally worth it? Because I've seen a lot of builds that do not play it.
Yeah, so the Fiendsmith and Paradise Trap, not a great card to draw. It definitely came up a lot. I did discard this with Silent Mining, which felt amazing. You can discard this with Abao, so discarding with Abao also feels pretty nice. You almost always side this out going second. There's no reason to run this going second. If you draw it, then it's literally a dead card. A lot of the cards I did take out when I went second. I ended up taking out this one. I took out one Tract, one Engraver, just 3 of the Fiendsmith cards because these are kind of extra. I mean, some lists literally only run 2 Engraver, 1 Lacrima, 1 Tract, and 1 Lurie, and they don't even run these cards. So these are easy outs. Nibiru went out against most decks, and Bell went out against most decks. And overall, fantastic most of the time, but definitely post side deck, there were better choices for some of the main deck monsters.
Fair enough.
That was my showcase for the deck profile. I went 6-2. Most of my matchups were really, really grindy. I went against, I think, 3 Rogue. I went against, I think, 3 Meta. And the last 2 were kind of a mix of both. So it was a fun time. I only bricked a couple times. And I do think that running a higher Live Twin name count would help with that. I do think, as mentioned, running a generic spell could also help significantly with not only playing through boards, but help going first through interruptions, such as Droll and Ash. But overall, the deck performed fantastic this weekend. And that's all I got for it. Thank you for watching.